Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. Now, I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I just couldn't be happier about the latest addition to Disney Plus, especially considering the last addition to Disney Plus. I really didn't like Artemis Fowl at all. If you want to see me just spiral out during a review, check out my thoughts on Artemis Fowl. But this Disney Plus movie, oh no, no. This Disney Plus movie did everything I wanted to and then some. And the best part is, we all knew that this Disney Plus movie would do this because it's been on Broadway crushing for years. And even as someone who hadn't seen it on Broadway, there was just a part of me that had a tough time wanting to get tickets because I missed out on the original cast. Getting to see the original cast do this play, even on a TV, so good, man. So let's not waste any more time. Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat? We're getting ready to dive in, spoiler free, into Hamilton. Oh my good God. Like, I'd say in the last decade, the biggest regret I personally have was not making time or saving the money to get a ticket to go see Hamilton with the original cast when it was on Broadway. And after seeing it with the original cast, I really regret not seeing it in person because I can only imagine, man. I'm a big Broadway fan. I do like theater. I don't go nearly enough. But like, I love the genre. I love what you can do with a live performance. And granted, anytime you go from the live performance to a small screen, you're gonna lose a little something. And even though you lost a little something, this thing is still so freaking fantastic. Like, I feel like the movie is done so well. It was recorded in 2016 during an actual live performance, so there is an audience. You hear them, which helps. It's not like they had them in an empty theater doing this. But you definitely miss, being part of a crowd. But aside from that, I really think the movie almost elevates the material, man. Like, yes, you're using camera shots that come in tight where you're only looking at one or two people, and when you're at a show, you can see 12 people at any given time. But anytime they're in close on one of the main characters and the ensembles in the background, you're not missing anything. Like, Lin-Manuel knows exactly where you need to be, and working here with director Thomas Kail, I'm sure all the movie elements of this thing work to its benefit. So you can just get that out of the way right now. If you haven't seen Hamilton, you wanted to experience Hamilton, this is the way to do it. I would suggest watching this before going to see the show, because seeing the original cast, I think, is something special. And what they did is just amazing. And it all starts with Lin-Manuel Miranda. I can't say enough good, positive things about this guy. Like, so freaking talented, man. I mean, one, the idea is just genius, right? Like, here's Alexander Hamilton. He's on the $10 bill. But he gets kind of lost in the shuffle when you talk about, the founding fathers. And I mean, I'm not a huge history nut anyway, and I've been so far removed from high school. I don't remember a lot of things, but I, off the top of my head, didn't really know a lot about Alexander Hamilton. And this show taught me a lot about Alexander Hamilton. And the thing I love the most about this show is that it doesn't matter that it's a story about all these old white men being performed to hip hop and rap and R&B styled music with a Broadway twist. There's definitely Broadway elements inside this music, as well as the R&B, the rap, and the hip hop. The blending of the music is just genius, right? But it doesn't matter that it's the story about all these old white dudes in a modern type of performance piece with people who aren't white. This is a very mixed cast, and the true genius of Hamilton is you don't care at all that George Washington is played by a light-skinned black man. You don't care that you have three sisters, the Schuler sisters, or Schuyler sisters, sorry. One that's dark-skinned, one that's light-skinned, and one that's half European, half Chinese. She's, Chinese American, but her mother white European, her father Chinese. And even though these three sisters don't look at all like each other, they're all completely different, racial backgrounds. It doesn't matter. They're sisters in the show, and that's the thing that I think I wish and I hope, especially in the current climate of the world that we're in, that people take away from the show, specifically in high school, man. Like, yeah, if you're gonna do a biopic, in a movie, you're probably going to cast accurately so you can get the biopic to be as accurate as possible to what went on. But if you're in high school, man, and you're doing like TV, maybe you have a film class, or even college, and you're doing something, or you're doing stuff for live performance, like theater shows, the best people should be the ones who get cast, man, because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter who is doing what, especially in this show, because the material is so enjoyable, it's so easy to latch on to, and it's about the story. The story is good enough on its own that whoever is portraying somebody or telling that story, it doesn't matter if it's done in a way that grips you and pulls you in, man. I mean, like I said, I've learned things about Alexander Hamilton. Like, Martha Washington named her feral tomcat after Alexander Hamilton. I learned that, man. Like, it's genius. And then, like I said, the after that, the most impressive thing that Lin-Manuel Miranda does is writing this. I mean, this is literally, there are a lot of musicals where the majority of the show is music. You buy the CD, you get the majority of the show, but you miss little pieces. The entire show is what you're buying when you get the soundtrack, or the audio version of this. I've been listening to it in my car all week. I actually did a review for this movie and then watched it again. I was like, no, I'm gonna do another review. It's so freaking good, man. I was like, I gotta get all my pieces in a row. But the fact this show never stops. The pace is almost always going. Like, you get the entire show because it's all rapped or sung, or it's just genius. And the wordplay and the way it all works, like everything Lin-Manuel Miranda does, from a writing to an act, his acting and performance is genius. Like, everything is genius. You could talk about Lin-Manuel Miranda for hours on end, dude. It's so magical, this show. But it's not just about Lin-Manuel Miranda, because like I said, I think there's so much value in seeing the show for the first time with this cast, because this cast is amazing, dude. I mean, we obviously start with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Everything I've said just knocks it out of the park, man. Like, the flow and the word, like, it's all just brilliant. Then you've got like this group that's kind of with him all the time. Daveed Diggs, who quickly became one of my favorite actors after Blind Spotting. I wish I would have seen Hamilton first. I would have been on board way before Blind Spotting. But here he plays Marquis de Lafayette in the first act. And then Lafayette goes back to France during the second act, so then he becomes Thomas Jefferson, who ironically is coming back from France come the second act of the movie. Phenomenal, dude. He brings so much energy, so much fun, and to play a French guy and then to play Thomas Jefferson, the way he swings it, and the way he approaches, to do a French accent while rapping. I've been trying to do it in the car. I struggle doing a French accent anyway. When I get into musicality, I just always revert back to my natural voice. Flawless, dude. This guy is so freaking talented, so much fun on the stage. Then you bring in, with him, we also have Anthony Ramos, who plays also two characters. Another thing I thought was genius. You have opportunities where there's only characters in the first act and the second act. Instead of multiple actors, get one guy to play both roles so you don't lose them. Because Anthony Ramos, phenomenal as John Laurens. But then Laurens not in the second act of the movie, so he plays Philip Hamilton, who is, at one point, Hamilton's 9-year-old son and then his 19-year-old son. And it's the same guy playing. Again, it doesn't matter who plays what. It works because of the material and the execution and the delivery. And Ramos is just wonderful, dude. He's so, again, another just ball of energy. Meshes so well with this group of guys. And like, the coronavirus, man, just kills me. We should have been seeing him on the big screen, man, in the Heights. So excited for that movie. We got to wait for it, obviously, now. But I'm even more excited having seen him do John Laurens and Philip Hamilton. He's brilliant. And then, I'm going to get this one wrong, but Okarit Onadoan. I butchered the name. I'm so sorry, man. You are also just wonderful. He plays Hercules Mulligan, who was an American spy. Um, in the first act, and then he plays James Madison in the second act. So he, gets to team up with Daveed Diggs in the second act, and they're awesome together. But the thing is that the thing I love most about Onadoan is that he brings this raw energy, dude, and he's this big dude, and like there's a moment where like he comes back after like being a spy and he's off stage for a bit, and when he comes flying on, man, like you jump out of your seat because he's bringing so much fire, like just awesome. And watching those four guys together, specifically in the first act of the movie, when they're all kind of buddies, that's Hamilton's group of dudes with Hercules, John Lawrence, and Lafayette. Loved watching that. But there's a fifth guy that's kind of rounds out that group. Aaron Burr, who's played by Leslie Odom the whole movie or show. The first voice that you hear, we've seen him perform at the Tonys. We've seen him now in movies like Harriet. He's just blowing up. He is so good, and his style is so cool, man. I love the way he attacks his raps and his singing, man. Like he hits the Broadway singing stuff perfectly. One of my favorite songs in the entire show is one of Odom's songs, and like just crushes that stuff. But then like when he's rapping, he brings it into like this really cool like funky place, and like, oh dude, like just absolute spark plug. And then you round out the group of guys with Chris Jackson, who plays George Washington. Again, like I said, like it doesn't matter that you got this light-skinned black guy playing George Washington. He embodies George Washington perfectly. The whole show, man. Like, just the presence that he has every time he walks on stage. Even if you're watching Lin-Manuel, you go, oh, wait, what's going on over here? He just carries this he carries, like, being the father of the country, and it crushes it. Also, really great at singing and rapping. I love the way that they utilize him. I guess if you're talking about the rap stuff, while we're talking about the guys right now, one of my favorite stretches happens with Thomas Jefferson and Hamilton. They have two rap battles, Daveed Diggs and Lin-Manuel. Watching those two go at it, amazing, so good. And you get moments like that throughout the whole film where it's just like, oh man, like that really popped over here. Like everybody gets to shine somewhere, but it's not just about the revolutionary guys and the American guys. You got Jonathan Groff, our last guy that we're going to talk about real quick, who plays King George. He is the overhead announcer, welcoming everybody to the show at the beginning, and then he kind of comes in for three like little interludes, like little segue bits where he talks about like, how could you leave me? Now that you have left and you're on your own, good luck. Don't come crawling back to me. And then like, oh well, I can't wait to see what happens. But like, he's hysterical, dude. Every time Jonathan Groff is on stage, you are laughing your ass off. And his songs I've just fallen in love with too, because they're just so much fun to sing because they're funny, and he puts it in that British accent. Just really, really great stuff. But this show isn't just about the guys, man. I mentioned three sisters earlier on, and two of those sisters are played as sisters the whole show. The third sister is only in the first act, and then again split time to be a different character in the second act. But Renee Elise Goldsberry, who plays Angelica Schuyler, she's the first female singing voice that you hear in the show. Makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck and on your arms. She's so freaking good, and you're like, oh my gosh, man, like this is gonna be my lead female that's gonna knock it out of the park. And she does. She's great. I love her. Like the relationship, what her character likes, the story. This whole story is just great because I didn't know a lot of it. But she is tremendous. But sneaky, not our lead female. No. And it looks like there's a moment when like Hamilton is gonna go after her, and then she introduces him to her middle sister, Elizabeth Schuyler, aka Eliza, who is played by Philippa Sue, who is the woman that we were talking about. That's half white, half Chinese. Wow, dude, she like subtler. Like you have Goldsberry, who's a powerhouse, but Sue comes in, man, with just this subtlety and like just owns the show. And the way the story goes, specifically how she plays into the second act of the show, and particularly the end of the show, how Miranda wrapped all that up. She ends up being Hamilton's wife. Wow, dude, like I love that story, but her performance is just like it gets better and better and better, and like you're just sitting there going, oh man, I was wrong. Like I thought she was the best. Like crazy good stuff. I find myself singing "Helpless," which is one of her main songs, like all the time, dude. She is tremendous. And then the third Skylar's sister, Peggy, is played by Jasmine Cephas Jones. She's only in the first act as Peggy. Peggy is a really low minor role, but she plays Myra Reynolds, who is Hamilton's affair. That's an interesting story too, man. Like, talk about learning things. That was a story I had no clue about, and I was like, oh well, that's interesting. And then what Hamilton does following it, you're just like, what a fascinating dude, man. Like, all the credit in the world just to like tell that story. But Jasmine Cephas Jones, really, really good too, man. Kind of, less to do than the other girls, but when she shows up, she has one like big moment, obviously, in that second act, and the song that she has with Lin-Manuel. Woo, man, it is fire. The chemistry and the sexual tension between them, which is what's supposed to be going on right before he decides to have an affair. Spoilers, history, right? But like, she lights it up, man. Like, just so, like, every single person who is a main character, and even the people that are in the ensemble, they're all just so impressive, man. Like, everybody has moments. There are things to take away from this, and what's awesome, like I said, is you can use this in schools, man. Like, talk about a way to connect with the younger generation. Like, doing shows like this that are historical. Like, history's fun if you want it to be fun, and that's the thing that's just genius with what Manuel Miranda did with this show, man. Like, it's just spectacular, and the music is just so good. Like, you want to get the CD and listen to, well, I guess download the album on iTunes, which is what I did. Nobody has CDs anymore. But you want to listen to it over and over again. You want to get the rhymes down because they're fun, and that's what makes it so easy to watch. My mom and dad hate rap, and my mom, about 5 minutes into watching the movie, was like, I wish I knew rap better, man. I gotta really pay attention. I was like, yeah, if only you had 20 years listening to rap, or had a son who listened to rap for 20 years and you just paid attention to him a little bit, it'd be easier for you. But like, even as people who don't like that genre, the two of them were like, that was one of the most amazing shows I've ever seen. Like, it's absolutely brilliant. And that's the best way to describe it, man. This thing lives up to every expectation it had. Like, my bar for this was so high for what the Broadway show would be if I ever got to it, and never did. That bar didn't move. That bar was still that high when I watched it on Disney Plus, and it surpassed every expectation I had. So if you haven't seen Hamilton, with Broadway shut down till 2021, get on Disney Plus, or get somebody to give you Disney Plus. Watch this thing, dude. It is amazing. So there you go, man. Those are all the Seaman's non-spoiler-ish. Yeah, we're dealing with history. I didn't spoil anything major. There's lots of twists and turns and just things that happen in the story. I was like, I did not know this. Again, I learned things, man. Thank you, Lin-Manuel Miranda. This is genius. Just the things that you're teaching people, the way you can show something like this in this way, just so awesome. So much praise to that guy. But I'm gonna stop, man. Those are all my thoughts. I want to know what you're thinking. Did you get to see Hamilton when it was on Broadway, or at any other theater where they stopped? They traveled the whole globe, this group. Did you see it beforehand? Was this your first experience? What did you think? If you'd seen it, how did it translate to the television? If you hadn't seen it, did it do, like for me, pass all your expectations anyway? What were your favorite parts? What stood out? What was the most impressive thing Manuel Miranda pulled off with this? And, if you didn't like it, please enlighten me. I haven't spoken to anybody who doesn't love this thing. So if you didn't like it, I would love to know why and what just didn't work for you. And it could be just taking it off of, Broadway into the screen. Maybe that's where the transition was. Anyway, anything you're thinking about the movie goes down below in the comments section. Look forward to talking to you down there. If you haven't seen it, let me know if I enticed you, or if you were already enticed and you plan on seeing any of that. Everything down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out anytime we talking movies, plays now. Maybe we're gonna get more Broadway on demand with no Broadway for the rest of the year. Who knows? But if you haven't yet and you want to show a little love to the old Seaman and join the Cinema Sit-Down squad, you can do that. Jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell that follows for alerts. Until next time, for the Seaman Cinema Sit-Down, I am the Seaman. I'm signing off. Peace. Well, you guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. Seaman's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the Seaman goodies, join the Cinema Sit-Down squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.